Hello viewers, welcome to our brand new series about JavaScript. Today's video is about variables and data types, which is really the entry point for any programming language. So as my startup code, I've already made an HTML document, and then I've linked a JavaScript file to it. As you can see here, in the script tag, here the source, and then the file, of course, to mean that the JavaScript should run at the bottom, at the end of the HTML document. So ideally, the script tag is usually the second last tag, but if you want, you can put it in the head element and then put the word file so that the JavaScript runs last. Okay, so you may ask yourself, what are variables? So in simple terms, a variable is a container or holder of information. Or holder of information. And for us, and for you to know that something's a variable, you have to declare it. And to declare it, you need some keywords. In JavaScript, you have some keywords that are used to declare a variable. So here we can say a variable is declared. This is just a summary, notes. Is declared using some keywords such as const or let. That's in JavaScript. And we have to assign. We assign a variable. That's giving a value to a variable. We assign a variable a value using the equal sign. So enough with the notes about a variable. So let me give you an example. If I say const first name, and let me say the first name is going to be John. So in this case, first name is a variable. That's the name of the variable. Const is the declaration. We say const to make sure to identify this as a variable, and then John is the value. So equals is the assigner or the operator. It's the assigner. Yeah, it gives the first name to be John. Yeah, it's not the operator. It is the assigner. Okay, so here then we can say console log. If we want to see John in our web, we can say console log first name. So just a brief introduction for the start. The console is an object on the overall window object, which helps us to see what we are coding as we are developing. So it is a development tool. And so here we can click on inspect to see what is in the console. And as you can see here, console, we have in our console we have the name John. Okay, so const is one way of assigning a variable. So one special thing about const is that you cannot reassign a variable once you use the keyword const. For example, if I say now first name and I give it another value, maybe let me call it Paul, I get an error in the console. Assignment to a constant variable. So we cannot reassign to a constant variable. And that brings in the concept of another way to declare a variable, which is the let keyword. So if I say let last name, in this case, let me use last name. Let last name equal, maybe let me say Tabazi. Let's console log to read. Let's log it to the console. Last name. I can as well reassign the last name to another value, right? I can say last name. Now I can give it a new value and say maybe last name is, let me use my last name, Kwahirgu. So in this case, I've reassigned the last name. And if I log it to the console, I will get no error because the let keyword allows us to reassign a value to a variable. Okay. Now let's move on to the next basic concept, which is about the data types. let me talk about data types. So in JavaScript, we have different data types. Data types are ways we can present our information on the web. It can be a number, it can be a string, it can be an object, it can be a boolean, and we're going to look at those one by one. Let's start by looking at strings. So the first data type we are going to excuse me, we're going to call it string. It's going to be a string. So really, string is a series of characters that are put in quotation marks. A series of characters enclosed in quotation marks. So that is a string. Okay, so maybe in this case, if I decide to say const full name, let me use camel case, full name, and I can say maybe full name is going to be same Kizabarak. Okay, so in this case, this is a string, right? It's a data type called a string. We have all our characters enclosed within two quotation marks. Let me log into the console. Say his full name is. So the console can take in two arguments, one or two arguments. In this case, I'm using two arguments. And as you can see, we've logged it here. His full name is Mukiza. Okay, so the other data type that can represent a string can be maybe just put numbers within quotation marks, right? Const string numbers in string, maybe stringed. So you can call a variable anything, honestly. Stringed numbers. Let me call them string nums. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. And I cancel that to the log. We still see our here our string as 0, 1, 2, 4, 7. Okay. So we can, as you can see, we can have strings either represented as alphabetical characters, numbers, as long as they're in quotation marks. Now let's look at the second data type, which is going to be numbers. And these are really numerical values. Numerical values. That's another data type, which we can look at. It can be an integer, it can be a float. But for simplicity, let's use integers. Let me say const numbers. Just got number is equal to 1. It can be 1, it can be 2, it can be 3. So number is the data type, right? Let's use the let big number equal to 1000. Just to remind you, we can reassign a variable that has been assigned with the let keyword. So I can make my big number now maybe 1200. Console.log big number. And you can still see our 1200. Now let's move into a third data type. The third data type is going to be Boolean. And a Boolean is a true or false value. So it's a data type represented by true or false. So I can say maybe const is true, call it true. So if I come here, console.log is true, shall say true. One thing that is interesting is that for numbers, you can see here in the console, the coloring becomes blue. So just the way the console styles different data types. Strings are styled color black, and the numbers and the booleans are colored blue. The other boolean is false. Say const is false. I can give it a false value. So come on, console.log is false. Still get false. So that's the third data type. Now we are going to look at the fourth data type. The fourth data type, which is going to be, it's going to be objects. So an object is a data type that contains key value pairs. Key value pairs. Key value pairs, or we can say properties and their values, or properties and their assigned values. And their assigned values. Okay, that became quite long, but let's get back here. Properties and their assigned values. So let me say const object, let me say const person. This is an object to represent a person. In this case, I would have name. Let me say, let me call the name maybe John Gavi, British names. Let me say age can be a number, maybe 55. Height, we call it a string, maybe 6 feet. And then maybe hometown. Let me call it Kinshasa. Okay. So in this case, person is an object that has key value pairs. In the key name, we have his full name, John Gavi. In the key age, you have 55, which is a number, height 6 feet, and hometown, Kinshasa. So an object can have different data types assigned to different properties. So on the right we have the names, and on the left we have on the right we have the properties. Excuse me, and then on the right we have the values. So the properties can also be called keys. So if we log that to the console.log person, we can see the object in the developer console here. We have the age, we have the height, the hometown, and the name. Yes. Another example for an object, I can say maybe const bad. So we have the opening and the closing curly braces for an object. Then you can say name of the bird. Let's call it an eagle. Is scavenger? No, I think carnivore. about scavengers or carnivores. Okay, scavenger maybe. I'm not sure about the terminology, but let me just take that. Scavenger true. Comma. That has a hooked beak. True. Color maybe. I can say maybe the color varies. Okay, so console log bad. We can see the second object here. So in this case, we have the color, it varies. Not wanted to specify it. And then has a hooked beak, yes. Carnivorous birds have hooked beaks, most of them. It's a scavenger, yes, it's maybe dead animals, sometimes also hunts. And then the name, it's an eagle. So as you can see in our object here, we have true, true, which are Boolean data types, and the varies as a string, then the eagle as a string. And then our object definitely has the properties on the right. Then we have the semicolon to assign. We have the colon to assign a value to the property, right? Yeah. So we have properties on the right, then colon, and then the values to the properties, key value pairs. All right. So let's move to the fifth data type. So the fifth data type are going to be arrays, and an array is a special object. An array is a special object. Is a data type. This is an object data type. An object that has values, values or items enclosed in square braces or square brackets or braces, and separated, which are separated by commas. Yeah, are separated by commas. So say const number array. Let me say number array. Write an array bus by first opening, by putting the opening and closing square bracket, and then we put in the items 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is an array of numbers. The items are numbers 1, which is separated by a comma, then 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So if we come here and console.log number array, we will see the number array here. Okay. We have our items as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Something is interesting here. On the right, we have these other values that start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Someone may ask, what are they? So these are called indices, the plural form of an index. So the indices indicate the position of the items in the array, right? So the indices in an array start from 0 up to the topmost position of the item that is the highest in the array, that is at the highest position in the array. For this case, the item number 1 is at index 0, number 2 index 1, and so on up to index 4, which is 5. I'll not go into that at the moment, but later on in the series, when we go deep into arrays, you will understand more how to manipulate array items by using their indices. Okay, so that's an array of numbers. We can also have an array of strings. Let me say string array. I can say maybe, let me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's our array of strings. And if I log it to the console, string array, we'll still see our items in the array 1, 2, 3, 4 at the different indices. So we can have an array of mixed data types. So maybe const mixed array. I can just decide, let me make my life easier, copy this and paste it in here. And then let me copy each item in this array and put it right after here. 2 is his. So I'm copying each item in the string array with the preceding comma. Then 3, pasting here, then 4. Okay, so now this is our mixed array that has both numbers and strings. So you can have an array that has both numbers and strings, booleans, whatever you want. In that case, I can also add a boolean here. True, false. No, I have a boolean. I can add an object, name. You say maybe Jane. So if I expand this array here, you can see I have the different data types within the same array. I have booleans, I have strings, I have numbers. Okay, maybe let me say age 25. Yeah, so we have the object here, name Jen, and her age 25. So that is our fifth data type. The other data type that we can look at is the null data type, which really means nothing. Null is nothing. So it's a data type whereby we have nothing. Let me say you'll usually use it in JavaScript if you want to if you want to assign a variable to nothing and later on reassign it a value. Let me say probably if you've gotten some data from the backend, or it's something you want to work on later on in the code. So you can just say const nothing equals null. And if we do if we log it to the console, it will be null. And then the last data type that I want us to look at today is going to be undefined. So undefined is the data type that has no value, right? In that case, I mean, you have declared a variable, but you've not given it a value, right? So it is an empty variable. There is nothing that it has. Let me say if I say let time, and I don't give it any time, right? I just say let time. Ideally, if I want to have a value for time, I can come here and assign the variable time and say maybe 8 o'clock, right? 8 o'clock. So if I here let me say it's first showing you what it will be up here. It would appear like console.log time. I'll see 8 o'clock in the console. 8 o'clock in the console. But if I do not assign time to any value and I log it to the console, I'll see undefined. Time is undefined. So undefined is another data type. Yeah, and this marks the end of this video, introductory video. Thanks for watching. Okay, so I'm going to post this code to GitHub. Actually, let me do it right here, right now. So git add, git status, I want to see. Okay, I've modified variables file. Let me commit my changes. Let me expand this a little bit. Git commit, and my commit message is going to be JS variables and data types. Okay, data types. Okay, and then I'm going to push my changes. So my alias is JS series, and I'm pushing this to the master branch. All right, so this code is now on GitHub. I'm going to link the URL to the GitHub in the video description. But just to show you, so this is the repo, JavaScript from beginner to pro, and you'll come here on the master branch. Okay, so on the master branch, you'll find all the files, all the coding files for this video series. Okay, so you'll come and see all the code from here. All right, so thank you for watching, for following along. I'll see you in the next video.